conclude this evening with a candlelit vigil. So please light your candles, which they're being passed out right now, and connect with your spirituality and inner being. We are here to pay tribute to those who are no longer with us. We have lost too many friends and family, neighbors and coworkers, because of violence and disease, discrimination and indifference, bigotry and harassment, and suicide and murder. So brothers and sisters, let's take a moment to honor our fallen comrades so that their lost lives are not in vain. And please welcome Spencer Young, cast member of the Laramie Project of Tyler Civic Theater.
Thanks. I just wanted to let you guys know that hate and discrimination is not just happening at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, or the Rainbow Lounge in Fort Worth, or Cedar Creek Lake. It's happening in Tyler, Texas, my hometown, your neighbor to the east. And I wanted to tell you a story about someone who came before me and someone who deserves to be remembered. On November 30th, 1993, in Tyler, Texas, I was beginning the first grade. That's the age of innocence, of ignorance, and of invincibility. At 6 years old, I knew nothing of hate. I had yet to learn of violence, or the depths to which humanity can sink. And the only concept I carried of fear was in wondering if the others would like me, or accept me. Also on November 30th, 1993, from the park I played in throughout this time in my childhood, a young gay man was kidnapped by men posing as homosexuals, driven 10 miles outside the city, robbed, stripped of his clothes, pistol whipped, shot 15 times, slowly and methodically to prolong pain, and left to die in a pit of clay in the bitter cold of a November night. 2 days later, his body was found by dirt bikers. He was 23 years old, and his name was Nicholas West. His story was never told to me, and perhaps for some of you, this is the first time you've heard his name. But you have heard his story. On the night of October 6, 1998, a young gay man was kidnapped by men posing as homosexuals, driven to a field on the outskirts of town, robbed, tortured, pistol whipped repeatedly with a heavy gun, and left to die, tied to a fence in the bitter cold of an October night in Wyoming. 18 hours later, someone riding through the field on a bicycle discovered his body. He was 21 years old, and his name was Matthew Shepard. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? In January of this year, my friend Trinity Wheeler came to me with the plan to produce the Laramie Project in East Texas. Familiar with the chiefly conservative attitudes of the people of Tyler, having lived there since birth, I was initially, admittedly, wary of the proposal. And my fears proved well-founded when the Tyler Civic Theater, who once agreed to produce the play, overturned the unanimous decision influenced by misinformed opposition from members of the community and those serving on the theater board. To argue the Laramie Project must be censored because it mentions homosexuality was quite a bold request. If these opponents had read the work, they would have found it is a narrative about irrational hate and fear, and the resulting violence and misunderstanding. It was written to illuminate intolerance, ignorance, the response and healing of a community, a struggle for understanding in things many know little about, the need and advocacy for education, the hope of humankind, and most importantly, to celebrate a life. This misinformed response almost perfectly proved the very reason why the show had to find a stage, an audience. the very reason why this story had to be shared. My hopes were that those with reservation came to realize what most of us already knew. We knew that homosexuality held some significance in the motive for the murder, but was so trivial to the script's overall message. That being said, it stands as more than a means to start a dialogue about hate and hope, and a better understanding of things foreign and fearsome to some. It serves as a memorial to someone's life. Someone who died tragically, yes, but someone who lived. After the news spread of the protest, thousands of letters from across the country found their way to the theater. Messages from a local lesbian mother to the playwright himself, all in support of our production. As the people of Laramie, Wyoming, our community banded together on the day of the board meeting to decide the fate of the show, men and women of all ages, races, sexualities, and backgrounds gathered peacefully, much like you stand here, to rally outside the theater. And the show went on. And all because of one chance taken and another provided.